Hey guys, today we're going to plant some vegetables in the raised beds that you see behind me. I do have some things in there already. I've got some basil and some green beans in one, and in the other I've got some bell peppers and some turnips. So we're going to add some celery and some onions in those beds today. And then in the pots between the beds, I've got some different varieties of tomatoes growing. So I'm going to get some things and then meet you back here. So I'm back and we're going to start with some celery. Pop these guys out of here. And we'll plant these about 10 inches apart. I'll just start to space them, or I guess place them where I want to put them. I'm buying these a bit late. I actually direct sowed some seeds in here and couldn't figure out why things weren't growing until I saw my German Shepherd running through the raised beds one day and realized, oh, all right, well, the seeds probably got trampled a bit too deep. So let's buy some plants. She tends to not run through here once things start to grow. So we'll get these in the ground and hopefully enjoy some celery this season. Nothing beats homegrown. I know everybody says that, but it's true. Homegrown carrots taste so much better than grocery store carrots, and I think that's true with everything. All right, so this is about where I'm going to have my celery plant. So it's as simple as getting my trowel. And this soil is nice and loose. I prepped it before I planted the first thing in here this spring, so this is easy work. Our onions will take a little bit longer because we'll need to divide them before we plant them, but you know, and I don't even know why I start things from seed every year. I think there's a certain satisfaction that you get when you do that, but these, 6 celery plants were $2.99 from my local nursery. It's just so much easier to dig a hole and pop some plants in there. All right, simple as that. I'll come back and water these when we're done with everything. But for now, I'll meet you at the other bed and we'll get some onions planted. Okay, I'm back with some onions. So I will show you when I pop these onions out of these cells. You can see I have multiple onions. There's 1, 2, 3, maybe 5 in this one. So what we'll do is we'll separate them. So there's one, and the roots on these onions are resilient. They can handle being torn apart a bit. And there's 2, 3. I'm gonna leave, nope, they've already separated actually, so we're gonna make 4 and 5. I'm gonna lay these over here. And then we'll do the same thing for all of these. The roots of these onions get tangled together. You think you're hurting the plant when you divide them, but you're not. Put that soil right back in there. There's 1, 2, and 3. And we've got 1 more cell to divide. I'll bring this a bit closer you can see a little bit better what I'm doing here. So I'm pulling away the dirt until I see the onion and then just pulling it apart. And there's two. And you see there's two more right there. And there we go. Onions can be planted pretty close together. We'll plant these roughly 4 inches. Right, so there's one. Yeah, that'll be easier to see how much space I have left. And there we go. As easy as that, we've got our onions planted next to our peppers. We've got some tomatoes here, tomato in the ground. We've got some turnips, lots more tomatoes, our celery, green beans, basil, tomato, and tomato. I think I'm going to pop a cucumber. I'll show you the area that I put my squash and cucumbers behind my retaining wall, and I'll tell you why. I'll meet you there. All right, so behind the fence, I've got this retaining wall, and I've put some vegetables behind it. I've got some strawberries here, and then I've got a watermelon here. So if I step back and show you, this wall is roughly 5+, maybe almost 6 feet tall. So by planting my vining plants like squash, watermelon, cucumber behind this wall, it enables the vines to come down and cascade along the wall versus me having to fight putting them up on a cage. Now, as you'll see here, like I've done with this spaghetti squash, I will cage them to help them kind of start because they do get awfully big. And then they'll just cascade down here and it works out great. As they start to fruit, as I get the squash and the melons, I will rest them up on the ledge of the retaining wall so they don't drag them down or weigh them down too much. But it's worked beautifully for the last few years. So we will put the cucumber. Let's see, I've got some more, I think this is zucchini over here. Yeah, it's my zucchini. Maybe we'll put the cucumber. I've got some space still over on this other side, so we'll put it over here. All right, I'm on the top of the retaining wall and we're gonna get this cucumber planted. This should be very easy as well. Just maybe a couple of weeks ago, I came out here and cleaned off the edge of this retaining wall and added some more dirt, mulched everything really well. So I won't have much to dig here. Just loosen up the soil, really more than anything. You can see I'm in the south. We have beautiful red clay to dig through. But this isn't bad at all. This is easy to get going. Move some of this mulch out of the way so I can still mulch it. All right, this cucumber is going to be quite happy in this space. I will put a cage around it to help guide it. and make it a little bit easier to get the fruit when it starts to grow a little bit more. That's it. I've got one more project for today, and that is to plant a lavender in a pot. So I'll take you with me on that as well. I said I had one more project, which was the lavender, but I forgot that I bought some herbs for my window boxes. So we're gonna get this lavender planted, and then we're gonna get those herbs planted, and then we'll be done for the day. All right, I like to plant something different in this pot every year. Normally I do the whole thriller, spiller, filler, and I might come back and do that again. But for right now, let's get this lavender in here. I've tried lavender down here in the south. I'm not sure if it's just my garden. Gardeners out there, let me know. Is it just me and my skill level? I've not had much success with having lavender grow in the ground. It does well in pots for me. It does grow in the ground, don't get me wrong, it does grow in the ground. It gets very woody, and throughout the years it really starts to get kind of thin and leggy. I've tried everything. I've given it sun. I'm not sure what else to do. So if you've got any ideas for how to grow lavender in the ground in the south, let me know. But for right now, it's going to enjoy its space in this pot. I couldn't resist putting these primrose in here. I started so many primrose from seed this year. Not sure how many would take, and all but one took. The problem is it's invasive, and I don't want to put it in the ground, so I had started the seed to use them in pots as filler and just kind of see how I like them. I gotta tell you, so far I'm not liking them so much. There's not a single flower on any of them, and they're much bigger than I thought they were going to be. Taller. They look almost weedy to me, but we're gonna try it. We're gonna see what happens. Maybe I'll love them once they finally do start to bloom. And if I do, great, they're perennial. They'll come back next year. All right, so that's that planting project. We'll get these herbs planted and we'll be done for the day. All right, I'm here on the side of the front yard that I showed you in the first video with the garden tour that I'm thinking about redoing this year. This is one of the reasons I'm thinking about redoing it. I love these window boxes. They're a great place to put herbs, but a little difficult to access them sometimes when you've got all of these bushes so close to them. We're gonna go ahead and get these herbs planted, and this is for another day. Got some mint over here that I'll start with. Of course, mint is invasive, so one reason why I love it in a window box like this. You can see it's got some runners already. Smells wonderful. I love the smell of mint. All right, and then giving the mint some room to grow, I've got some sage. Mint and sage being a perennial for us, so these will come back every year. We actually just pulled some mint and sage out of these exact same spots. They both got just a little bit woody, and I just wanted to start fresh, so here we are. I just love fresh herbs. Okay, giving that sage some room to grow, we'll come over here and plant some oregano. This oregano looks like it's already trying to go to flower, so we're gonna have to come in here and cut it. And I like to dry it and put it in old spice jars. So I'm not going to use it right away. And then coming over here to some thyme. I'm sure somebody is thinking of the joke in their head, how they wish they had more time. Well, here you go. You can have more time if you plant it in a window box. This will stay nice and compact. It won't grow a whole lot more than it is now. So this is a great place for it on the end. And we've got some room for something else between the thyme and the oregano. And here's the window box on the other side. I started this dill from seed shortly before spring, so it's doing very well. And then we've got some chives. They were here last year, came back nicely. And same with this parsley. That was here last year and came back beautifully again this year. So we've got lots of space. We've still got some space over here to get something else in, and some space between the chives and the dill. All right, that's going to do it for us today with our planting. I'm going to get all these things watered in, and until next time, stay rooted, stay refined, and I'll see you soon.